Hello, guten Tag und grüß Gott. Today is Sunday. Wonderful day it was. We had a really great time going out with our new best friend, the ghost. So we're trying to get him accustomed to the fineries of restaurant etiquette, don't you think? Anyway, I have my wife here, and she's going to keep an eye on me. And if you hear any noises, it just means that the ghost is talking. In any case, it's been a heck of a couple of weeks here, for the video. All kinds of stuff has been going on, when the Israelis killed a general somewhere in Syria, an Iranian general. There was a retaliatory strike from the Iranians, and they sent something like 300 some missiles and drones and a combination of those things at the within the borders of Israel, and that could be considered an act of war. Of course, the world threw up their hands and said, "Oh no, let's make a, if you're gonna respond, make it a measured response and so forth, So anyway, the Israelis did respond, and they, I guess they hit a missile or two or something like this, with, it's not clear because I haven't actually found out exactly what they did, but they hit some town inside of Iraq, and I mean in Iran, not Iraq. We're talking about Iraq. Anyway, they hit a town in Iraq, and Iran and the Iranians said the damage was minimal, and the Israelis says, well, the damage was minimal, and so there's been this thing going back and forth as well. Let's not start a World War III over this, because it was, after all, the Americans and the Israelis that were able to thwart this missile attack of from the Iranians. And I'm thinking that the Iranians probably knew that those missiles probably wouldn't make it in, because they have intelligence from the inside of Israel, and I'm sure they have intelligence from the United States. I mean, the United States is made up of all kinds of people. Iranians. Some of them call themselves Persians, and that kind of thing. So these guys are all listening to what's going on, and some of them, I'm sure, they're feeding back to the mullahs as to what the stance of America is on certain subjects. And so it wasn't really a surprise that nobody wanted to start World War III over this, because after all, we do have the Ukrainian situation still, with the Russians there. And as a matter of fact, Zelensky, or the Ukrainians, are actually bracing for a major Russian invasion, Russian attack, because the Russians are not going to give up. They didn't give up in World War II. They only gave up in World War I because they lost their government due to communism. And so it's not in the Russian spirit, to quit. And at least this is what I know of them. They may be in some cases really primitive people, because some of the Russians that we met, they were not from the cities; they were from the countryside, and some of them, they weren't even sure, who's governing them, but they had to defend Mother Russia. So, Putin convinced them that this is a defense of Mother Russia. They have to take the Ukrainians in order to defend themselves from the West, the evil West. So crazy, isn't it? Anyway, I just wanted to go through some of the news items, and specifically what's going on since since the last video. So let me just pull up the Wall Street Journal. Well, here's what's interesting, is we do have a female basketball star. There's this Caitlin Clark. She is, what is she, almost 7 foot or something like that. I mean, she's a really tall woman, and I read about her that in high school, she excelled, and she was that's something really natural to her. So she's basically a female Michael Jordan, from my perspective. Anyway, she was trying to, she was playing for the finals, and her team lost, but because the people that they played, what's called the Gamecocks of South Carolina, and they had an undefeated season. So they were very, very good. And Caitlin herself, couldn't just overcome that. It would have been an upset. And so the Wall Street Journal says, a perfect ending to the women's NCAA tournament. And because, the people that had put in all the work and had all of the great records in the past, they won. And Caitlin wasn't able to snatch that away from her. But, they're giving Caitlin a lot of credit for raising the bar, for people to watch watch female basketball. As a matter of fact, there's an article in here that says, maybe I'll run across it, but while I'm talking about this, oh, so Caitlin Clark, actually caused the women's NCAA tournament to draw more viewership than the men. So that's kind of an interesting thing. And the Wall Street article actually talks about the fact, that, they drew more viewership for this particular, the final, than the men did. And they're getting paid a hell of a lot less, so there is that, Okay. So, here they are. Let me just hold that up a little bit. So, okay. So, what did we have? I mean, a couple of weeks here were really something, with the Iranian response, the Israelis, were almost at the brink of World War III, basically, because, if the nuclear thing is involved, then we've got World War III. Anyway, one of the things that happened was we had a solar eclipse throughout the U.S., so here it is, I mean, a heavenly show, so let's see what else we have here. Well, it's a tough world out there right now. So here's another article from the Wall Street Journal. Musk Starlink devices flow to the U.S. Flow to U.S. foes via the black market. So evidently the Russians, and I think I've talked about this, they're able to use Starlink, at the edge of their scrimmage lines, so that's really something. Oh, and here's the article that says NCAA women beat men's in ratings, but not in TV pay. Okay, so there we go. But here's really something interesting. Future toilets, okay? Future toilets. They're going to give medical feedback. So your poop is going to be analyzed, and you. So
if they can do it for cats, they can do it for us.
Yeah, really, really. So anyway, that's pretty good. So the rate cuts haven't happened yet, and it's really causing a problem on the stock market. And the Fed is not cutting the rate yet because inflation is still fairly high, and I think we're somewhere around 7% or so. And if you actually look in the at the groceries in the markets, 7% would be a pittance. And some of the things have doubled. So you know, so they're really talking about some sort of an average over a bunch of goods or whatever it is. So anyway, the U.S.-made drones have largely failed in Ukraine, which is interesting. These were 1980s design, and the Russians are just kind of shooting them down. And the reason that these people they're getting the drones because they're available, but they're not the right kind of drones. So what do the Ukrainians do? They go to China and and get the Chinese drones, so they have a kind of a shot at the Russians. Anyway, so centuries later, Pompeii yields new discoveries. And I've seen some of the paintings from Pompeii, and they're really exquisite. I mean, the artistry is remarkable. Just absolutely. And so now they're uncovering some more. And the cost of owning a home source, we're now up to 7+% if you want to buy a home. And that's up quite a ways now from 3%, so it's more than double. It's a problem. So O.J. Simpson died at 76. What a shame. Okay. Well, this is kind of interesting, a picture-perfect day at the races. Where are all the hats, that, spectators on the Randox Grand National Festival at the racecourse in Liverpool, England. Now, these are all British women, this is really something, I kind of have to hold that up, Everybody's got a phone. Everybody's got an iPhone. So this is what's going on here in the world right now. The New York Times faces newsroom rebellion because, well, the so the media is composed, largely of Jews. And and so they're liberal, and of course, but the people that are supporting Hamas, also very vocal because they're looking at saying, okay, so the Jews are losing, have lost, maybe 100 or so, several hundred hostages, and they may be dead by now. But the Palestinians, they've lost something like 30,000 people or so. It's really so. There's kind of an uproar, in the newsroom. So they, so the Hamas supporters, they want to say something about, the injustice of the Jews, and that they're perpetrating on these people, these Palestinians. And of course, the Jews are saying, "Well, wait a minute,
Who started this?
Who started this shit, So anyway, despite Trump's best efforts, his criminal trial has arrived. So he's going to be tried for having paid hush money, right? I mean, isn't that what people normally do?
Bill Clinton did it.
Yeah, Bill Clinton paid hush money. And but this is now Trump, and of course the Democrats, have got since they were at the helm of the government for a long time, what did they do? They appointed all of the judges, that are saying, oh yeah, let's get that Trump, So anyway, but also there's an article here that says the U.S. calls for calm after Iran strikes Israel, so it's calm. And I just love these pictures that they show, of Trump. This needs to be memorialized. Oh wow, of course, the Wall Street Journal, Yeah, I've always thought they were kind of walking a fine line neutral, but, I'm not so sure.
anymore.
I don't think so. Anyway, Tesla is set to lay off 10% of its global workforce. Well, we've talked about this before, is that the electric vehicle market is kind of losing its luster a little. Now, granted that Tesla still makes the best EV. Okay, absolutely, the very best. There's just no question about it. Yeah, but people are saying, hey, maybe not so fast. If I can afford a gasoline-powered car, maybe I'll buy a electric car just to kind of scoot around.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are probably a whole slew of people that still look at that as kind of a golf cart, in
Yeah.
a way. But, it's a long ways from that, that's for sure. And what else? So Colombia calls the police to remove a protest camp. Okay, now this is really something. It's some of you that have been around when there were student protests. It's a whole different thing because, students used to protest and they used to take over areas, and if they had to stay overnight, well, they would sleep on the ground and stuff like this. Not so now. Colombia calls the police to remove a protest camp, but look at the protest camp. They have tents. They probably have Starbucks delivering lattes to them. I mean, Jesus. So, hey, our snowflakes are just a different breed altogether, so. Anyway, the House maneuvers to speed up the TikTok ban or the sale, to an investment group because, we really are concerned, the Chinese are somehow going to use the TikTok information, in their Meta AI and somehow harm the U.S. And I'm not clear as to how this actually works, so. But anyway, so let's talk about this for a second, that, the aid package, the $97 million of aid, for Israel and the Ukraine has been kind of held up by the Republicans. And why has it been held up? It's because the Republicans, wanted to get some action done on immigration. They wanted to do something about immigration. Let's stop the flood. There are how many people that they think that we have gained in illegal immigration something like 30 million people. And that's if that's the case, and if that's real numbers, this is we're going to have a real problem, with illegal immigration because not all of them are good people. I mean,
And
some
how
of
do we
them.
support those people?
Yeah, and how are we going to pay for it? Because they're now complaining over the fact that they're being housed in like ghettos or something, and they didn't want that. They wanted to come here where the streets are paved with gold,
Right.
So, and that's the bullshit that they've been fed, by the Soros group and all those liberal Democrats, including the Chinese who are making roads. They're building roads for these guys to come from, So the Chinese are helping this immigration situation, okay? Which is causing us a problem. But it's going to make us a huge, big country because not all of them are bad people, and a lot of them are going to be, Americans, and their children are going to be, Americans. And then the Chinese have got this American giant, in front of them. I mean, think about that,
Was
Anyway.
there anything in the Wall Street Journal about the Pope and Biden?
There probably was but I didn't take notice of it. So if you want to talk about it, please go ahead.
Well, I'm not sure I've got all the facts straight, but the Pope said that something to the effect that transgender, homosexuality, all that stuff doesn't go with the Bible. And so he's against it. And Biden came out and said, even though I'm a Catholic, I can't agree with that.
So there you go. Anyway, so this is pretty much the news. Do you have anything else that we want to talk about? I think you were keeping tabs of the Supreme Court of what's happening. So
Yeah, the
maybe tell
latest
me
on the
about that.
Supreme Court is that they have come out with a ruling that I thought was common sense from the beginning of the 64 Civil Rights Act. But the ruling was that a lateral change in job for a plaintiff who complains about harassment is illegal.
So that's retaliation then, right?
Right.
Yeah. So if somebody complains about something, and
You gotta keep
if
them in their job.
if they demote them, then it's retaliation.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's also, and that was obvious, right? If he gets demoted, that's obviously retaliation. So that didn't really need some sort of a Supreme Court decision. I mean, it was, obvious. But if they would just move to an equally paid job, lateral, that's also discrimination.
Right.
Or retaliation, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that's pretty interesting. So I think, what's happening here in our neck of the woods basically is that, the rains have come, and I think they may have gone unless, El Nino
We're
is...
supposed to have a rainstorm on Wednesday.
Again?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so all the reservoirs are full, and so now what are the people saying, or the people that are in charge? They're saying, well, I mean, we don't need the water, right? We don't need desalination because there's plenty of water. I've seen these cycles several times in my lifetime here in California because I've lived here now far longer than I lived anywhere else in the world, so. But anyway, was a fun couple of weeks, and I really feel like I haven't said anything in depth or anything.
Can you
but
put in a plug for me?
Let's put in a plug for you. Okay. So what happened that is my wife has been invited to be the commencement speaker,
Keynote speaker.
the keynote speaker at the UCI Liberal Arts College graduation.
Humanities graduation.
Humanities Liberal Arts.
And
I say
social
that so
ecology.
easy. And social ecology. Social ecology?
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
Oh, think about it, Dad. You can figure it out.
Okay. So social ecology. To do the right thing socially, I know. And not harm the planet, through socializing. And I should do one of these videos sometimes, where I'm with a large glass of wine, and see how. And I'm so proud of my wife because it's amazing that who was it? The
Dean of Humanities.
The Dean of Humanities selected her and picked her out to speak in front of the class, and she's going to do an amazing job. And I'm so glad to be married to an amazing woman like my wifey. Love you.
I love you.
Goes, But anyway, I wish you farewell. I wish you goodbye. So long. Auf Wiedersehen.